We're here at this point. It's been 40 years. Let's get to the truth.
I didn't do anything with her.
Robert, you seem like an intelligent guy in our conversation here, okay? Right? You've done 20 years in the military. You retired honorably. Okay? You've got some intelligence. That doesn't make any sense, what you're saying.
This is Robert Lanoux, and he thinks he's gotten away with a horrifying murder that's been a cold case for over 40 years. In January 1982, 5-year-old Anne Pham leaves her home in Seaside, California, and begins the short walk to kindergarten. She never arrives. 2 days later, Anne's body is discovered on the nearby Fort Ord military base, launching a real-life murder mystery. Investigators determine Anne has been abducted, assaulted, and strangled to death. The case devastates the community, but despite an enormous investigation, Anne's killer is never identified. As the years pass, the crime becomes one of California's most haunting real-life horror stories. But in 2020, dedicated detectives from Seaside PD reopened the case, determined to finally get answers. Using cutting-edge DNA technology, investigators identify a new suspect in the disturbing true crime case, former Army Sergeant Robert Lanoux. When detectives learn Robert had lived just houses away from Anne's family when she disappeared, and had later been convicted in Las Vegas for crimes against a minor, they bring him in for a formal police interrogation. Investigators have no idea that they're about to uncover a true predator hiding in plain sight.
All right, Mr. Lanoux.
Thanks, Rookie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm all right.
Oh, hey. Is it, did I call you Robert?
RJ, Robert, anything.
RJ, Robert, I'm Bill. Can we uncuff him? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
Hey, I was going to come talk to you at home, but apparently you ended up here. So I was looking to chat with you. I found out you were on parole.
Go ahead and see it.
I talked to Officer Rookie here, and he said you were in custody. So I've got an old report I'd like you to look at, if you have a couple minutes.
You want to place a hand on top of your head, okay? On top of your head. There you go. Thank you. Let me come around this side. Do the same thing.
Yeah, you don't need to be handcuffed with me.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. You can relax. You all good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take off.
I brought you some water, too.
Mr. Lanoux, I'll see you later, okay?
Thanks. I'll come get you in a few. Hey, so I investigate old cases, right? I'm an old guy, maybe close to your age, maybe not a little bit. How old are you?
How old are you?
Almost 60. I'll be 60 in a couple minutes.
I got you by a decade.
You got me by 10. Okay, well, you beat me then. All right, that's not bad. This case involves Robert Ernest Lanoux. Sound familiar?
Yep.
And Carol Lanoux.
Okay.
It was a report. I'll let you take a look at it. It was in Seaside Police Department out in California. Carol made a report about somebody attempting to kidnap Robert when he was 8 years old. When you guys apparently were at Seaside for a while. Does that sound familiar? You're a military man, right?
Yeah.
I'll show you something
That's
else.
just my son.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm talking to you about. I investigate old cases, and there was a series of cases back then, and I found this case, and I actually called your son, and I talked to Carol, and they did not remember much about this. Do you remember this? It's back in January, early January of 1982, and you guys lived in Seaside, and apparently Robert Jr. was walking home from school, and somebody attempted to he said somebody attempted to pick him up. You don't have to read the whole thing, but I talked to them. They couldn't really remember it. So I wanted to see if you had any memory of it at all.
No.
And you were in the Army, right?
Yeah.
Sergeant, retired as a sergeant?
Sergeant first class.
Oh, that's all right. How many years did you do?
20.
Oh, okay. And I don't know if this would help ring a bell, but I found this too on a website called newspapers.com. You tell me if this rings a bell. Maybe you never even saw it back then.
No, I remember this.
It was in a newspaper we have locally called the Salinas Californian. Apparently you rescued some folks.
Yes.
Yeah, I just happened to research your name, and this came. That's about all that came up. This came up. What was the story with that?
It's pretty much right here. We were just down there I was on leave, San Antonio Reservoir, and I was looking for a good place to fish. We were just cruising on my boat and had this helicopter come in behind us, and he moved out around us like this, and they were doing maneuvers down there in this.
Yeah.
At one end of the lake.
Uh-huh.
And my wife, while I was looking around, said, "Honey, that helicopter still looks like it's getting awful low." And about the time she said low, I turned around and watched that helicopter, the front skid hit the water, and it just flipped.
Oh, in the lake?
Yeah, crashed into the lake.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that. And this guy here, this was a Salinas cop back in the day. I don't know if you met him or talked to him about that.
No.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting. I thought you might want to see that.
I don't remember these three people, but I know that we had a formation. I was given a plaque like this and awarded the Army Commendation Medal for heroism.
Very nice. That's good. No, and it was that was in 82 as well, and this was in 82. So I'm looking at a kind of a string of these, and when I went to Seaside PD, I found this report, right? And I contacted Robert, who was 8. I can't imagine that he would remember much of this at all. But Carol, do you remember this report being made at all?
No.
No clue of her making it or what have you?
No.
Okay. Do you still get along with them?
I haven't talked to them in 25 years since 1998.
That's a long. How come so long? Well, I understand if it's your ex-wife. I'll give you that. I'll give you not talking to an ex. Right.
It's a long story, but my son was responsible for me going to prison.
When he was 8 years old?
No.
Or sometime later?
In 1998.
I looked. That's your only arrest that you've ever had.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And you must have been older then, in 98.
Nope.
I mean, how old were you then? In your
46.
Yeah, so that's late in life to get one arrest. And then you did, and that's why you're still on parole here?
Yeah.
Huh. And you saying it's because of him?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to bring his name back up to you then. What were I don't know if you want to go into the circumstances of that, but you're saying it's his fault?
Yeah.
Huh.
You're a detective.
I am a detective, yes.
You got a logical mind.
I do.
So let me ask you. I'll tell you about
Ask
it.
me.
And then
Ask
I'll
me.
ask you.
Yeah. At least I hope I do.
My wife and I were renting a 3-bedroom house.
Okay.
Didn't have much of a front yard, but it had a nice backyard with a good lawn, and it had 6-foot brick wall around the back.
Where's this at?
Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
My son had married an ex-exotic dancer with 2 children by somebody else. And they've been living with her parents in the 2-bedroom apartment. So it's my son and her 2 children, and then her parents living in a 2-bedroom house.
Okay.
They had the children sleeping on a pallet of blankets and quilts and stuff at the end of the bed. And her parents decided to move back east and told them they didn't have any room for them.
Okay, this is his wife? Okay.
My son and his.
Gotcha, yeah, okay.
So they were going to put them out on the street. And my wife and I decided that we'd let them stay with us. Because...
That's good of you. Yeah.
So we did. They were supposed to pay us just $300 a month in rent. But neither one of them had a job or could keep a job, so we ended up not getting any rent money. I had to put a car in my name for them, on my insurance for them, so they'd have a way to get around and try to find a job.
Okay, well, that's a good dad.
And we got tired of it. And in December of '97, they had absolutely no money for Christmas at all.
Okay.
My wife and I, Carol and I, went down and spent $500 on Christmas presents for the kids. And then I told them I'd already told them at that point, I think I told them in November, that come the new year, like February 1st, we were going to pay the move-in cost for them to move into their own apartment.
Okay.
And shortly after that, I smelled marijuana coming from their room. So I opened the door, and there they are smoking marijuana with the children in the room.
Okay.
So I told them, I said that I was going to call Child Protective Services about that, because I didn't think it was right them smoking marijuana. They weren't supposed to be smoking in my house anyway.
I would agree with you.
And not smoking it around the children.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
On the 10th of January, we get a knock on the door. It's detectives with a warrant for my arrest and a warrant to go through my computer, because they said that my son, Robert, had found child pornography on my computer and downloaded it onto disk and given it to the detectives. Now, my computer had 2 drives in it. One was password protected because that was for the company that I worked with.
Okay.
I worked with a company that manufactured video poker machines.
You were out of the military by this time?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
retired. And then we were putting them into Indian casinos. So that drive was strictly for that. I also had the original drive in the computer, which was an open drive.
Okay.
Everybody used it, the family and everything.
Were you a computer nerd back then?
Not really.
No.
They thought I was, and I'll tell you why they thought I was in a minute. But anyway, the first thing that my son said in his statement to detectives was that I kept my computer password protected, and I did that one half.
Okay.
He said he found child pornography on the open drive.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
If I was downloading child pornography, where would I have put it?
I'm with you. I know what you're saying.
I would have had it on the password protected drive.
I know what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah, correct.
I explained that to detectives, and they said, well, it's your computer, and he said that he found it. So they charged me with that.
And you got all this time more to go.
More to go.
Okay.
Also, they before that, in the summer of '97, when they were living with us, the kids were out playing naked in the backyard. My wife and his wife were out there laying naked in the yard, sunbathing. The little girl suddenly jumped up screaming and holding her crotch. So her mother grabbed her, runs in the house with her, and then she yells at me because she knew I used to be an EMT. And she's holding her daughter on her lap, using her legs to spread her daughter's legs apart. She reached down and she was spread her daughter's genitals open.
Okay.
And says, can you look at this and tell me what it is? Well, she had a small little bump, red bump, next to her.
Okay.
I told her mother, I said, there's no stinger, so she evidently got stung by an ant while she was sitting in the grass.
Yeah.
She said, well, do you have something we can put on it? I said, yes. I went and got a tube of white cortisone cream and handed it to her. She said, I can't hold her like this and put it on. Can you put it on for me? So I did. They also had, while the kids were outside sleeping on a blanket underneath a tree, naked, and my wife and my daughter-in-law were out there also sunbathing in the nude.
Apparently that's something you did, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she asked me if I would take a picture of the kids so she could send it to her parents because she thought it was really cute.
Okay.
So I took a picture of her. So when they came and arrested me for the child pornography, they talked to my step-granddaughter, and she said that I rubbed white medicine on her pee-pee.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
The white cortisone cream.
Okay.
My daughter-in-law says, "Oh, I didn't know anything about that." The picture they asked me to take,
Yeah.
they said, "We didn't tell him he could take that picture."
Oh, son of a gun.
All of this because I was kicking them out of the house.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Now I see where you're going.
So I got charged with multiple counts. But anyway,
Hey, you must have.
they took it down to, they said if I pled guilty to one count of possession of child, one count of lewdness with a minor, and one count of use of a minor in production of, I would get 5 to 15 years on the charge, the use of a minor production. But if I didn't take it, they were going to charge me with sexual assault on a minor under the age of 14 because I rubbed my finger between her lips when I put the hydrocortisone cream on her. And in the state of Nevada, that constitutes penetration.
That's what I was just going to say.
So I took the deal. I did 20 years in prison.
Man, for your first arrest.
Yeah.
And so you haven't talked to them since?
No.
And I take it Carol divorced you at some point after that?
Yeah, about 3 years.
Huh. Wow. That's a long road. So you just got out,
got out about 3 years ago.
About 3 years ago. Okay. Yeah, that's a chunk of your life, Robert. That is a chunk of your life. What do you... Well, I feel sorry for you on that one. Didn't try to fight it with your attorney?
I didn't know any better. I had a public defender. He told me that I wasn't going to get a better deal and that I better take that deal or I was going to look at time for the possession of, time for the lewdness, and 20 to life for the use of minor in production.
What happened to the 5 to 15?
Yeah.
You got 5 on top of that.
Well, there were 2 sentences possible. 5 to 15 or 5 to life.
Oh, okay.
Now, my plea agreement said 5 to 15 years. But at my sentencing, the judge said, no, I'm not going with that. I'm going to go with 5 to life. Because I think you deserve it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's why you're sitting here today.
Yep.
Well, before that happened, before 1998, I guess, was life reasonably well in the military, a good military service?
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, by the way. That 20 years is pretty good.
I was retired honorably with, like I say, I had the Army Commendation for heroism. And
from this?
Mm-hmm.
This looked pretty cool, actually. It looked pretty good. So
I don't think they had pictures of us at the military formation that we had. These were the civilians that.
Yeah, this is the Salinas, California newspaper.
Yeah, those are the ones that took care of them after we pulled them out of the water. And
they survived?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Helicopter went, there's probably no water in that lake right now.
I don't know.
Huh? With the drought going on, I'll tell you that right now. There's probably no water in there. How long were you at Fort Ord?
A year, I think.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah.
Did you do your basic there?
Yeah.
Okay, because I grew up over there, so
I did basic there in 1970.
Oh, this wasn't. Oh, you came back.
Yeah.
You came back over there. Oh, okay. 1970. Shoot.
Yeah, I came back in the service in 1981. I got out for 33 months. Came back in 1981. And then I retired from there.
Okay.
In 95, I think. No, 93.
93?
93.
Did you miss it? You went out for a couple of years and then you came back in?
Had 8.5 years and kicked myself in the ass for
not-
wasting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Not continuing to retire, right? Then you'd still be young. Yeah. Huh.
Sorry, the medication I take in the morning
Okay.
really messes with me.
Okay. You doing okay? You need a drink of water?
No, I just had some.
Okay. Yeah, it's hot. Hey, it's hot out here. In your
Cold in here.
Your part of the country. You consider this cold? I'm warm.
In here.
Oh,
Up
in
in the unit, yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's a big facility
I'm
here.
a 70-year-old diabetic. I get colds easy.
Okay, that I can understand. What I remember growing up as a kid going on to Fort Ord. So you did basic there, and then you came back and did another year there,
And then I retired from there.
and then you did back in Fort Ord?
Yeah.
Son of a gun. In '93.
Yeah.
I was out of high school by then. Well, 10 years. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
But no, I don't even remember that.
You don't remember this at all?
I've never seen that.
No. Here's another report from, on the 23rd. And this is actually, even though I'm an older guy, an officer at Seaside PD, Jimmy Bailey. He wrote down a little quick report that he talked to you. Apparently you had a car. You guys were living at an address. Let me look at it. Seaside, right? And I think it was Robert Jr. either kicked the parking brake or released the parking brake and let your car roll into your neighbor's car. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You do remember that? Well, here's the crash report. They still have all these old things. Here's the crash report, but apparently Robert Jr. did that. And then this officer came out and he talked to you and said, hey, because they were looking at cases like your son's case back in '82 from, an attempted abduction. Right? Does that ring a bell? Because here he said, this is you here. Robert John Lanou.
Right.
And there's your phone number. You probably don't remember that from now. But he says he talked to you after that car crash. And he talked to you about another kidnapping of a little kid that had happened right in January of '82. Do you remember that at all?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Because one of the cases that I'm looking at, is it related to this or is it around there, was we had the abduction of a little girl that happened back on January 21st of 1982, and her name was Anne Pham. Do you remember that at all? It was a pretty big case in the news.
The only thing I remember about that is that we'd seen the first report on the news, and that was it.
Okay, you did, because it was right around the time, maybe 2 weeks after Carol made the report about Junior. So that's why I'm kind of looking at all the cases in and around that time.
Yeah.
And I try to talk to everybody, on every case to see what they have or what they remember. So you don't remember this one at all, other than the news.
No, just that one report that we were sitting watching the news that evening, and they said that a young Vietnamese girl had been, her body had been found.
Okay, you don't remember the kidnap? She was found on January 23rd. Apparently abducted on January 21st.
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
Did you happen, actually, when I checked the address, you happen to live in the same neighborhood as she did. In fact, your kids, Robert and, what's your youngest son's name?
James.
Robert and James went to the same school from the report. So did you know, the last name was Pham, Vietnamese family. Did you know her?
Not at all.
Know the family?
No, sir.
Nothing at all?
No.
Okay. They had like 10 kids.
Wow.
A lot of kids. They're actually, the parents, it's an interesting story. The parents were in Vietnam. I don't know if you did any time in Vietnam in your service, but they were in Vietnam, and when the collapse of Vietnam.
We didn't live there that long because we actually got into government quarters on Fort Ord.
Okay.
We moved to government quarters there, and my kids were going to school on the school on Fort Ord.
Okay. Oh, you didn't live long on Highland.
Yeah.
Okay. Or no, I'm sorry. How long do you think you lived there?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You don't remember? It's 40 years ago.
40 years. I do not remember.
I'll give you that. Okay. Because it was right down. So you didn't know them, didn't know the family. Again, like I said, interesting story. You don't have any info on any of that.
No, sir.
Nothing to do. So I'll ask you the standard question that I ask everybody. Any reason your DNA would be anywhere on her body or around her, on her clothing, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Why?
Well, she was, as you knew if you watched the news, she was abducted on the 23rd of January, walking to kindergarten, which was right down, their house was, which was right down the street from your folks, or you folks, where you and Carol and the kids lived. She was walking to school, she was abducted, and then her body was found 2 days later on Fort Ord, on the military base. So that's why I'm asking. That's everybody I talk to, right? That's one of those things. Detective stuff a little bit, right? I would imagine. That's why I'm asking.
Only what I've read and from my own experience.
Gotcha. You have more experience, or just that one experience in '98? That's it? No?
That's it.
All right. Well, so there's nothing you can help me with on this.
Nothing I know of.
Do you remember what you guys were driving back then?
No, I don't.
No? The crash report says it was a... Hold on. I thought it was an interesting car. It was like a 59 something. 59... A 69. No, that was the guy you hit. A 59 Pontiac. With Texas plates. Are you from Texas?
No.
Oh, actually Nevada plates. Nevada plates TGX. That's where I got the Texas from. 59 Pontiac. You don't remember that car at all, though? An old one?
I had a white Chevy Citation that I remember we drove. I remember the Pontiac, but we didn't have that very long. After that accident, I got rid of it because it was just a piece of junk. And I do remember that car.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know if it was Robert Jr. or if it was your other son, your younger son, but somebody...
I think it was James. I remember that thing had a push-button transmission in it, and the emergency brake didn't work. And so...
It rolled into the neighbor's car.
Rolled down the driveway and hit the neighbor's car.
Okay.
I remember that.
And what did you do on Fort Ord?
I was in communications.
Back in '98, like telecommunications type stuff, or?
No, radio communications,
okay.
FM radio communications.
Oh, Carol mentioned she thought you were in the motor pool or something like that.
No, I took care of all of the FM radios in our unit.
Oh, okay.
Doing the maintenance and stuff on them.
Okay. Those like the walkie-talkie things? Were they FM back then? Or
big radios.
Oh, big ones. The big ones, like you go out somewhere, you go out and deploy.
Yeah.
The big stuff. Okay. So that's why they probably thought you had some computer skills, right? In '98, you had the super secret computer skills.
Yeah, right. I had my wife and I were nudists, and we had gone on the computer and looked at different nudist camps around California and that, because when we had been in the different parts of the states before, we had gone to some in Virginia and Maryland.
Okay.
And so I downloaded those, the stuff that we were looking at, the different camps and that. I downloaded onto the little square floppy disk. You remember we used to have?
Oh yeah, I certainly do.
And I put them all into a zip file. Now, funny thing about a zip file is it's a wonderful tool as long as the very first disk doesn't get corrupted.
Mm-hmm. If
the first disk gets corrupted for some reason, all the rest of those disks...
Because you had to put in different ones, right?
And that's what happened, was something happened to that first disk, and the computer wouldn't read it anymore. nor would it read any of the others because it had to have that first disc to start the file before it could go into the others.
Gotcha.
So they couldn't read any of the other discs. And I explained to them, they're not encrypted. It was a zip file that the first file got corrupted, the first disk, and now you can't get in the rest of them. They even had the FBI try.
Okay. And but you're saying that wasn't your stuff anyway?
No, those discs
were yours, but you couldn't get into them.
I couldn't get into them. They were nothing but nudist camps.
Okay.
Fun camps.
Okay. Well, the other thing is though, I think there had to be something with you and little kids, right? For them to do that, Robert. Am I crazy? There had to be something with you and little kids, right? I don't know.
I got in trouble with my 10-year-old niece. She'd been by her father and her grandfather. I wasn't aware of that, and she started around with me and stuff, and I got to doing some playing around with her and stuff like that, but no or anything like that.
You mean like your type of stuff, or what?
Just her me, and that was all.
Your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. When was that?
79.
79. How long did that go on for?
Just a few months.
Okay. And where was that?
In Vegas.
So is that when you were out of the Army then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How would something like that start?
I don't know. I don't even know why I did it to this day.
I mean, were you intoxicated or anything? Or you a drinker?
No.
I don't know about your history.
No.
Not a drinker at all?
No.
No drugs? Apparently no drugs if you didn't let your son smoke marijuana. Huh. So that was, and
what happened was she had reported her father because.
This is your niece?
Yeah.
What was her name? And you were never charged for this?
No, because what happened was she reported her father because apparently her and a girlfriend of hers were caught shoplifting.
Okay.
Her father, my brother, was a Metro cop in Vegas.
Oh, he was a cop?
Yeah. And my niece and her girlfriend reported that my brother had forced them to give him, telling them that if they didn't do that, he was going to tell the girl's parents what happened with the shoplifting and everything like that.
Okay.
And he was going to let his daughter go to juvenile hall. And
did you know your brother to be like that?
No, I didn't know what was going on, but it explained to me. And then she.
Well, then how did you? If you knew that your brother had done that, then how did you?
I didn't know that. I found out afterwards.
Then how did you?
I found out.
Oh, when was your brother?
She started messing around with me, and I asked her how she knew that stuff. How does she know to do that stuff?
What was she doing? Oh, like type stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she said because her dad made her do it.
Okay.
I said, then why do you want to do it with me? She said, because you don't make me do stuff.
Huh.
But they never reported it. I never was charged. Never even had to talk to anybody about it. But
oh. So you just kind of let her do what her curiosity or whatever let her do. Okay. Had you had a history of that at all before that?
No.
No? Nor since? I mean, obviously, they did find child on your computer in 98. Was that yours or?
No, it was not mine.
Were you looking at it then or no?
No.
So not looking at anything?
Didn't have time.
Why's that?
My job. I would have to fly from Las Vegas to North Carolina to where the shop was, and they would put the games together, the video games together, and then they would we'd load them into a U-Haul truck, and I would drive them to Arizona, Nevada, California.
Oh, dropping them off?
And yeah, I would help their people install them into the Indian casinos.
Oh, okay.
And then we would get them all hooked up and get them working, and then they'd fly me back to Vegas, and then within a few days I'd be gone again.
Okay, how long did you do that for?
I'd only been doing it for about a year. I worked for a computer company that was installing computers in the new VA building in Las Vegas prior to that.
You're from Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Is that's what you did from, you got to the military 90 something, you said, 95 or 93 or whatever?
93,
Okay.
maybe 95, excuse me.
Then you went into computers?
Was it 95? No, it was 93
Okay.
when I retired, October of 93, and then I went driving truck over the road for a while.
Oh, truck driver?
Yeah, but my wife didn't like me being gone in the truck that long.
Long haul trucker?
Yeah,
So you did that from when, 93 to when?
about 94, 90.
About a year or so?
Yeah.
That seems
Maybe
like,
90.
I don't know, I've never thought that was a very, I don't know. Maybe
I loved it.
some guys like it, but
I loved it.
did you? Just the open road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being my own boss.
Did you go all over the country?
Oh, no. Excuse me.
Is it nap time?
Those pills I take.
Oh, what are they?
I'm not sure what you wanted message with
Oh,
me,
is
but
it just for your diabetes or?
one's for diabetes, the others are for problems with my stomach and stuff.
Oh, okay. Just being in here?
Yeah, no, stuff I had
Just
on the
normal?
outside.
Okay. How's the food here?
Yeah. It's tolerable.
Well, at least that's something. So a long haul trucker all over the country?
Yeah.
Huh? I mean, it's to see the country, I guess. You know? Huh. And then you went into computers again, you said, with the gaming or whatever. That's why they thought you were the computer whiz. Huh?
Yeah.
You got some still? Because those are older computers then.
Yeah, older Commodore 64 type.
Oh boy, that's going back some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got to ask you something, Robert. I'm looking for just the truth from you. I think you've been very honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
No other girls besides your niece? I'm just looking for the truth from you.
No. No. I don't think so.
What's that? That makes me nervous when you say you don't think so.
None that I remember. I mean, I remember my niece.
And that was like 70, you said 70 whenever you got out of the Army, 79. And that went on for at least a couple months. Did you get caught, or why did you stop? With this
when she reported it to her parents, and after my brother was arrested and then had his conviction overturned on a technicality.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he got convicted.
Yeah. He was supposed to be doing life, but he got his conviction overturned on a technicality, and
they didn't retry it or anything?
They didn't retry it.
Wow, son of a gun. How long did he do? That's a lucky dude.
I think a year or two.
To get life and then get out with nothing?
Yep. Well, he had 2 daughters, and the youngest one I think was about 5 years old, and she had been a witness to what was going on and had testified in court during the court case.
Okay.
And
it's pretty young.
Yeah. And his defense lawyer got it ruled on that she was not a valid witness.
Okay.
She was not old enough to be a good witness.
What was her name? Okay. So he got completely off.
Yeah.
Did they separate? Never see the kids again?
He wasn't supposed to be seeing the kids again. They actually made them get a divorce. Huh. And then after a few years, they were able to get back together, and then they remarried.
Okay.
back to living with the kids in the house and everything. So
Boy, that's crazy.
I got in trouble when I was 14 with my 3 cousins.
Oh, okay. Where is this in Vegas too?
Yes,
Okay. 3 cousins, all girls?
all girls.
How old? Because you were only
8, 10, and 12.
8, 10, because you were only 14.
Yeah.
Okay. And
8, 10, and 12.
by trouble, what do you mean trouble?
The oldest girl told my aunt and uncle, I was living with my aunt and uncle at the time,
Okay.
and living with my 3 cousins.
Okay.
And they told their parents she told her parents what was going on. Then they talked to the other 2 girls. And so, I was never charged or anything. I had to talk to a counselor who said that because I'd grown up with only brothers and a very alcoholic mother and everything, that I was just not emotionally stable enough for the situation I was in. And because I'd watched my mother having sex with her boyfriends and stuff, that she would frequently bring home, that it led to me doing what I did.
Mom was a drinker?
Yeah.
Okay. Where was Dad? Was Dad around?
No.
No?
He ran off with another woman.
Oh, okay. All right. So you were 14 when that happened?
Yeah.
With the 3 cousins?
Yes, sir.
But not reported to the police, so not arrested?
No.
And I mean, you were pretty young then, too?
Yes, sir.
So you've had a little bit of a history then?
Yeah.
Huh. Have you ever thought about where that came from? Or where that desire, sometimes there's some folks that have that desire for young girls.
I really don't. I tried to figure it out for a long time because that was the first real home I had ever lived in, as far as having 2 caring parents and a good home and family and everything.
And it was your uncle or your aunt? Who was it?
My aunt and uncle. My aunt was on my mother's side, and so was my aunt and uncle that I was living with.
Oh, okay.
And my uncle really wanted a son, and I know that if I had, messed up,
It's okay. It's all right.
messed up like that they would have adopted me.
Oh, so you left Mom when you were 14 and went to be with them?
Yes.
Okay. And that was the first time?
Yeah.
And was it just because they were there, or was there
I think so, yes.
Okay. I mean, were they
And they were running around, half dressed or naked. And
Yeah. Has that been something that's followed you throughout your life? To some degree. I mean, you can battle it, you can fight it, you can suppress it, I guess.
Well, I pretty much didn't. I never had any more problems up until that time with my knees. And then
The police ever
came back.
The police ever talk to you at any other times throughout your life about, hey, here's this, you're a suspect here, or here's a case here, or here's anything here?
No.
Nothing else. No other times. They said, hey, other than all the way to 1998.
Yes, sir.
Huh. And you didn't have that desire. You didn't act out on that anywhere?
No.
Okay. Because Carol mentioned that there were a couple things in the military that had happened where the police came and talked to you. Does that ring a bell? In Germany?
No.
She mentioned there was something with a little girl in Germany.
That was my son.
Your son who?
Robert.
Robert? How old was he?
Hmm. 83 he was born in 73, and that would have happened in about 80.
You were in Fort Ord in 81.
I think about 1986, so he was probably about 13.
Okay, and something happened with him in Germany?
A daughter of a friend of ours.
And that's Robert?
Yeah.
Okay. But not you, because Carol seemed to think it was you.
No.
And it's your ex-wife, so I guess that's...
No. Nothing.
Maybe something. Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay.
But, she knew the truth about what happened with the child. Especially, she was standing there when I put the medicine on my granddaughter, and she wouldn't even come forward on my behalf and tell the truth about what happened. And when I asked her about it, she said because she had wanted out of the marriage, she had some other guy that she was, having with and everything while I was on the road. And she thought, and this is all what she told me after I was already in prison, she thought that when I went to prison, she would have access to all of my money.
So you think that's why that happened?
Yeah.
But you did not molest your step granddaughter? Is that who it was? No.
No. I put that white cortisone cream on her twice, and that was it. And her mother was there one time, and the second time I did it because she was scratching herself there. So I put that, gave her some, gave it to her, and she put it on her finger and rubbed herself.
That was a different time?
Yeah.
Okay.
But her mother said she didn't know anything about any of it. Even though she'd been holding on her lap the first time I put it on. And Carol was there.
Okay. All right. Well, it may be that she's your ex, so she might not be anything. But well, I got to tell you, it makes me a little talking about your history, digging into that, and you lived down the street from Anne. You never saw this girl?
Not that I recall. Been 40 years.
I'll give you that. But it's just, Robert, I mean, let's look at, like you said earlier, use logic and use your thinking. If you're a detective and you're looking at, hey, I'm looking at these old cases, I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm working this case because this girl was murdered. She was abducted. Right?
Yes.
And then dumped in the bushes on Fort Ord, where somebody would have had to have access to get on the base right then. If you remember back then, right? I don't remember. Do you remember how you got on the base back then?
We lived right outside the back gate of Fort Ord.
Which street was that? Do you remember? No. But it was close to your house?
Close to the house.
Probably the Broadway gate.
There were no guards there. That gate was not guarded or closed or anything.
Oh.
You just drive in and out of it.
That was in 82, or whenever the year you spent there. No guards on any gate.
No, there were guards on the other gate.
Okay.
But there were no guards on that gate.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
That's all right. That's okay.
I used to go in and out that gate, go to work and that, and there were never any guards on that gate.
Okay. Where'd you work at on the base? You said communications?
I worked in B battery, target acquisition battery, for the 333rd Field Artillery, part of the 7th Infantry Division.
Okay. Do you remember where that was on the base? No clue. If I showed you a map of the base, would you remember anything?
Maybe.
I might have some. I've got to look. I don't know if I brought them in this folder. I just brought a thin folder. So, and that's weird because I thought I remember back in the day that there were guards on the gate because I was a kid going in there, And
I don't remember them ever being guards on that.
You might be right. Might not have been.
Because it was not a very big gate. It was just a very small gate that you could drive through, and I think it was kind of like a one car at a time thing. And
okay. Hold on, I got like maps that are like super tiny. So if you would have gone in that gate, which is the Broadway gate, I'm thinking there's a close one by where your house was.
Yeah.
Would you go up into it, and then it's remember it was all the shrubland. Mm-hmm. Where you did all the military training probably.
Right.
I remember as a kid growing up.
You go in that gate and you go to the right.
Go to the right.
With all the rifle ranges and stuff.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
I've been to those ranges to qualify in that.
Okay. And that's where you go to work?
No, I turned left and went down into the main part of the base.
Because the main part of the base was to the left.
Yeah.
To the right was more like ranges and nothing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of remember that then. You kind of got that in your mind. All right, well, what's the matter?
Oh, just a hangnail.
Okay. You can see then that it is a little interesting to me that you have this history, right?
Yep.
And then we have this little girl that disappears right around that same time that you're living there. You know, no memory of this at all. You ever talk to her?
No.
See her? Anything?
I might have seen her out there going to school or something, but not enough to register.
Okay, because Highland Elementary School, which your guys went to, is the same school she went to.
Okay.
And that was, I don't know if you remember, it was right up the street. No idea?
No.
The wife probably dealt with the kids in the school
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you find it interesting that you have this history?
Yes.
With little girls, and then I start
I
researching.
can see why you'd be looking.
You can see why I'd be a little interested in talking to you.
Yes.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is there anything you can say that would tell me it's not me? It wasn't me.
Nothing but me telling you that I have nothing to do with this girl.
Nothing at all. Okay. What if I told you that there might be some physical evidence that links you to this case?
I don't see how,
Why is that?
because I don't remember having anything to do with this girl.
Is it possible?
I knew this was going to come back. I knew it. I was coming back from work. I had to take my wife to the hospital for an appointment.
Okay.
She was standing out underneath a tree. It was raining really hard.
It was, correct.
She was soaking wet.
Okay.
I got her to get in my car with me. I asked her where she lived. She told me how to go. I took her to her house. She got out and she was crying because she was afraid her mother was going to be mad at her because she didn't go to school. And I told her that her mother loved her and that her mommy would not be mad at her, that her mama would see that she was all wet and would get her dried off, get her some dry clothes, and everything was going to be all right. She got out, started walking up to the house, and I drove on into Seaside to get my wife to take her to the hospital. And I took her to her appointment.
Okay, and how are you sure that that's her?
I recognize her.
And did you remember hearing about the case so you're saying that after you dropped her off, something must have happened to her?
As far as I can tell, yes. And I was horrified because I knew I should have walked her to the door. I should have taken her up to her door and made sure she got in the house, but I didn't.
You remember what time of day that was?
Morning sometime.
In the morning? And you weren't at work?
I was coming back from work to get my wife to take her to an appointment.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I didn't come forward because of my history.
So I was going to ask you.
I knew exactly what was going to happen. But I did not do anything with that little girl.
But you had her in your car?
But I had her in my car.
And was that the same car that Junior crashed, or
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Okay. How long was she in the car with you for?
15 minutes.
Do you remember where you found her?
It was a tree with pavement around it, out somewhere in front of an apartment,
Was it near your house?
No, it was up towards the end of the street.
Okay. Right, because you both live very close to each other. Right?
Yep.
Hang on, I've got her house here. That I know I've got somewhere. There we go. Here, look here. If you need to see it right here, okay? This is where she lived, right here.
Right.
Okay? And this is the path she would have walked to school. This was her school, Highland Elementary School.
Right.
Okay? Just up the street. There was an old market here, if you remember, and you lived right over here. So you see, you're like maybe 6 or 7 houses away from her. In fact, you had to drive around a one-way street to come to her house. So where do you...
I think I was coming in this way.
Because you're coming back to pick your wife up.
Right.
Okay.
And it was right before I got to about down here. I think it was right at this corner right here.
Okay.
Either that corner or right here at this corner.
That's where the market was.
Yeah.
If you remember that little, just a corner store.
I think that's
little neighborhood
about
store.
where it was.
That's where you
Because
saw her?
Yeah, she was standing underneath the tree, crying, trying to get out of the rain.
Okay. Okay, so what did you do?
I picked her up
Uh-huh.
and then turned around and went back this way to her house.
Oh, very short.
Yeah.
So she was only in there, you said, I don't know what you said earlier.
I don't remember how long. It wasn't very long. It was just me go up, turn around, and drive back to her house and dropped her off in front of her house.
Okay. And did she say anything?
Just that her mama was going to be mad at her. And I said, well, honey, you can't go to school like that. You got to go home and get some dry clothes and stuff. And that's when I told her mother was not going to be mad at her because her mother would see that she was all wet and everything. So.
Okay. Okay. And then where did you go?
To my house to get my wife.
And you picked up Carol?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to the doctor's?
Yeah.
Did you see her? Because you have to drive out your street to here. Did you see her there?
No. She wasn't out there anymore when we went by, when my
Okay.
wife and I went by.
And you'd never met her before that or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. First time you saw her then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thanks for being honest. That's what we need now, Robert, is honesty, okay?
Yes, sir. So what happens now?
Well, then where did you go? Well, that's what I'm trying to, that's why
we went to the base to the hospital.
Okay.
And then I took my wife back home and went back to work.
Was it a regular checkup for Carol, or what was it?
It was because of problems with her thyroid.
Okay.
She had to get her prescription renewed, and they wanted to rerun the test on her thyroid.
Okay. It's a 5-year-old girl, Robert.
I know.
Right? It's a 5-year-old girl. And maybe something happened that you didn't intend to happen.
No.
Are you sure?
She would have been too young.
She was almost 6. 5, almost 6. How old was your step-granddaughter?
5.
5? So right at the same age.
I didn't. My granddaughter, though.
Okay. All right. I hear what you're saying. All
I
right.
didn't do anything with my granddaughter either.
Okay.
All I did with my granddaughter was put white cortisone cream on an ant stick.
Okay. Anne was tall for her age, though. Is it possible you could have thought she was a little bit older?
No.
And maybe tried something and something happened?
No.
Okay, Robert, I'm going to tell you, your DNA was found. Okay, that's why I'm here.
Okay. Found where?
On her. That's why I'm here. I just want the truth. You've gone so far with me.
I didn't do anything with her.
Robert,
Other than take her in my car and drop her off.
You understand how bad that
What
looks.
kind of DNA was found?
Physical DNA that matches you. I had 3 separate laboratories test that DNA, and it all came back to you.
Hair, fiber, what?
Hair.
Hair.
Pubic hair. In her, Robert.
I didn't do anything with her like that.
What happened then? Look, I'm going to show you. I've even got a slide of the pubic hair. That hair came from her, Robert. That's
I
not.
don't know how it would have
It's
gotten
not.
there.
It's not going to happen by sitting in a car for 5 minutes and driving about 150 feet, like he described. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, Robert. We're here at this point. It's been 40 years. Let's get to the truth.
I didn't do anything with her except give her a ride to her home.
Robert, you seem like an intelligent guy
I,
in our conversation here, okay? Right? You've done 20 years in the military. You retired honorably. Okay? You've got some intelligence. That doesn't make any sense, what you're saying. I understand how, and I'm being truthful with you, right? Your DNA is there, okay? Right? But coming up with that story about the ride is not going to make it. Maybe you had a moment of weakness. Right?
So what happened now?
And then maybe she fought. That's what I'm trying to determine. I'm trying to find the truth, Robert. That's really what I'm trying to do.
You said you've got evidence.
Yes?
You probably got enough to charge me.
You haven't been charged yet. That's why I came here to talk to you.
I don't remember doing anything with that little girl at all that way. I don't.
You didn't drop her off in front of her house, though.
Yes, I did.
Robert, you know how that doesn't make sense, right? You explained to me how your pubic hair and some of your DNA, by the way, is on her clothes as well, is going to get on in her. That's very difficult.
I can't explain it. I know what it looks like, but I cannot explain it.
That's not the truth about you seeing her out there, though, and then
Yes.
picking her up and dropping her off. Maybe you saw her out there in the rain. I will give you that, right? But Robert, the school is right here. It's 900 feet from her house in a straight line. So what you're telling me about dropping her off back there, it just doesn't make any sense.
I saved 2 people's lives that year. Why would I kill a little girl?
That's a great question. That's a great question that you're going to have to wrestle with, I think. And that's why I'm here to talk to you. Maybe there's an issue. Maybe there's a reason.
Doesn't matter. My life is over anyway.
Robert, maybe at that point you couldn't control yourself.
If I did that to that little girl, I must have been out of control because I don't remember doing it.
You think you're just blocking it out because you don't want to admit it? Would you tell me if you did it?
I think I would, yes.
You think you would? Would you tell me if you did it?
I believe I would, yes. If I knew I did it, I would tell you.
Robert, when I talked to Carol, your ex-wife, right? She remembers that day also. She remembers it 40 years later. I didn't even tell her what the case was. I just told her I was looking into Robert Jr.'s abduction, that's a report, that's a righteous report. And then I had a couple other cases I was looking at. And she remembered 40 years later, Robert, that you did not come home for lunch that day. She remembers because it was in the news.
I took her to the damn hospital that morning, yes.
It's not what she said.
Because we got there late for her appointment, and they said we had to make a new appointment.
She said you were coming home, you were supposed to be home for lunch, and you never showed up. So she walked down to the store, and she saw you driving right here on this street. And then she went back home because she thought you were...
None of that is true.
She remembers this after 40 years, my friend. And then she said, you never showed up at the house.
I did show up at the house. I took her down because I took her to the damn hospital.
And she said
they wouldn't see her.
She called your work on the base, and they said you had not showed up after lunch. In fact, you were very late. She remembers this after 40 years. How could that be? And I even asked her, how could you remember this? And she says, because it was in the news of about this little girl.
You might as well go ahead and charge me then.
Well, I would like your side of the story, Robert.
I told you.
Who do you think is going to believe that? I'm asking you. I'm just asking you honestly.
I don't know why Carol is lying, but Carol's lying about that part of it. Because I did pick her up. I did take her to the hospital for her appointment. We got there late, and they wouldn't see her and told us we had to make a new appointment. And Carol was really mad about that.
How do you remember all that 40 years later?
Because she'd gotten mad at me about that. And I remember how mad she was because she couldn't get her prescription for her thyroid medicine.
That's not your fault.
It was because I took the time to take care of this little girl.
Robert, look at the time it would take. You say you picked her up right here. Look, it's literally, it might take you 20 seconds to walk that distance. That's no time. There's no delay there. That's not going to cut it.
I'm telling you, I don't remember doing anything to the little girl besides giving her a ride in my car.
Did you touch her at all?
No.
No, not at all.
Not that I recall, no.
Have you had moments in the past, and you said you weren't a drinker, right?
No.
So you didn't black out. Have you had moments in the past where you've done something maybe to a little girl and you don't remember?
I guess it's possible. I don't know. I had severe head injuries when I was 12 years old. And so much of my goddamn memory is gone.
Well, you seem to have a very good memory in my talking with you here for this time right now, right? I mean, you remember your military history. You remember.
I can remember some things, but
just not very. Look at this little girl, Robert.
I've been looking at her.
So you know her. You met her that one time.
Yes, sir.
You met her the day she was abducted and murdered.
I didn't.
The evidence shows different. Right? This is the physical evidence.
Then go ahead and charge me for it. I'm just telling you what I can remember. Maybe I convinced myself that that's what I did.
Do you think that's possible?
I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist. I don't know. I don't remember doing anything with that girl.
Nobody's told me that you had any history with mental health issues. You know?
I had...
this was right in the middle of your military service.
I had multiple skull fractures and a severe concussion. I was in a coma for 10 days.
When was that?
12 years old, 1974.
But you recovered, obviously, and you led a productive life.
I know. I don't know why I can't remember. I would tell you if I did.
But it's possible.
Yes. Evidently, the evidence says it was possible.
Yes, it does. That's how I came to you, is through the DNA.
Does California still have a moratorium on the death sentence?
Yes, it does.
Damn.
And I'm not here to talk to you about any of that down the road stuff. That's nothing that I deal with, right? That's not my job.
So what happens now?
Well, right now we are literally, you and I, sitting in a very small room, trying to get to the truth of something that happened just over 40 years ago.
I told you all I can remember.
We're very close, Robert.
I told you all I can remember. If the evidence says I did something to that little girl, I must have done something that I don't remember.
I just want the truth.
I'm sorry, I'm telling you the truth. I don't remember doing anything to that girl.
I mean, you come so close.
I can say I did it, but I don't remember doing it. I just don't.
Have you blacked out other times when you've done something to little girls that you know of?
Not that I know of.
But you think it's possible?
Yes,
Is that just because of the trauma of it?
I guess. Because of the guilt, probably, and the trauma of it. The realization what I had done, maybe. I don't know.
You know, Robert, do you feel guilt? Do you feel guilt about the things you've done?
Yes,
Which things do you feel guilt about?
every time that I've had a problem with my niece.
And was it just the one niece or both nieces?
Just one.
Didn't you talk to Rookie about also having a problem with?
Not that I remember.
No?
I don't think so.
No chance you with her also?
She was way too young.
You said she was 5. Anne was 5. Robert, Anne was 5.
I understand you said that.
She was just I'm going to keep saying it. She was just a little girl walking to kindergarten. And then someone came and picked her up that she didn't know. And they did horrible things to her. Disgusting things. And then instead of letting her go, they killed her. Why would they do that? Why kill her?
Probably because they didn't want to get caught. Maybe they thought you could get away with it.
Well, for 40 years, that's true. Right? For 40 years, that's true. But she deserves justice, Robert.
I understand.
And so does her family.
I understand.
Do you feel guilty about this at all?
Yes.
Why kill her though? All the other, at least the ones we've talked about, all the other girls.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Did she try to get away?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just don't. I'm sorry, but I don't.
I've got to tell you, from everybody that I've talked to with the family and whatever, she had 9 siblings. 9 brothers and sisters, right?
Yes.
And they said she was very meek, very quiet little girl that would not talk to strangers. Are you telling me she willingly got into your car?
Yes, I remember that. She was soaking wet and I told her to come in the car and get dry, and she got in the car. I didn't have to grab her or anything.
She get in the front seat or the back seat?
Front seat.
And then you just did a U-turn and drove that short distance. You didn't drive on to Fort Ord with her?
Not that I know.
Not that you remember?
No.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Because her body, like I've told you, was found on Fort Ord.
I know, I heard that on the news report.
Back then?
Yes.
So, you're saying you dropped her off right in front of her house, and then you saw later that day? Or when?
I just heard her on the news. Heard it on the news about her.
And you realized that was the girl that you had picked up?
Yes.
And you never called the police?
No.
Did your wife know you picked up the little girl?
No.
Nobody knew?
Nobody.
You never told anybody?
No.
And why did you keep that a secret? Why didn't you go to the police?
Because of my history.
Well, here's the problem though. This is 1982. You had no history. There was no history. Nobody knew anything about Robert being a pedophile. Right? So that doesn't quite work.
Right.
Nobody knew
My
yet.
wife knew, my brother knew, my sister-in-law knew.
But nobody else knew that, like the police.
No.
They wouldn't have known that. They would have run your record. Then
And I was afraid that it would come out through the family.
Through what family? Your family?
Yes, they'd be talking to my family and everything, and then they'd find out about my niece.
The niece that you were just in the year or so before Anne Pham was abducted and assaulted and killed.
Yes.
So you see how there's a pattern that we're seeing?
Yes.
Does it look like a pattern to you?
Yes.
Can you explain yourself, Robert?
No. I told you I can't. I wouldn't know how to explain it.
That's why I asked you earlier, right? I'm looking for the truth.
I'm telling you the truth. I've told you all of it I can remember, sir.
Well, you remember about, having contact with your nieces, right? You remember and with your cousins as well. That was when you were 14. And then you're very detailed about 1998. You see how your memory is very good on all of these, and these are assaults before, right at the time, and afterwards, but you can't remember this.
I can't do this anymore. I can't. I don't remember anything else. It's done.
What's done?
My life.
Well, Anne's life is done, I can tell you that.
I know.
Can she get some justice, Robert?
Yes.
Can you tell me the truth?
I have told you the truth.
I think you're very close. I just don't think you've opened up completely. Because now is that time. Now is the time,
told you
Robert.
Everything I remember, sir. I've tried. I've sat here and thought about it. The whole time you kept telling me these things over and over, I've thought about it.
You thought about her from when I first came in?
Yes.
Well, were you thinking that you could have done it?
No. I was thinking what I remembered, that I had picked her up because she was cold and wet. I thought I remembered driving her home.
That didn't happen, though.
Apparently not.
She didn't go home, Robert.
Apparently not.
Is it just that you don't want to tell me?
I would tell you if I could remember, sir.
You can call me Bill. You don't have to call me sir.
If I could remember, I would tell you, Bill. I swear I would. But I don't. I don't know why, but I don't remember anything else.
Because I'm telling you, she never got out and went to her house. Right.
You've showed me the evidence and you've told me that. It doesn't not helping me to remember. I just can't remember.
Do you believe me?
I believe you, yes. You've got the evidence there. Something must have happened.
Well, Robert, I know exactly what happened. I know that she was...
I don't remember doing that.
And then she was murdered.
I don't remember doing those things.
And then her body was dumped in the brush on Fort Ord.
I don't remember those things. I'm sorry, I just don't.
No, I want the truth from you, Robert. That's all. Don't apologize. Maybe you can apologize to somebody else.
I've
but
told
not to
you
me.
what I remember, Bill. I can't remember doing anything else. I don't.
Okay, I hope you're just not trying to minimize, Robert.
I am not.
Can we at least admit that you didn't drop her off at her house?
Apparently,
because
I
that's
didn't. Because
how could you remember that, right? If that's not what happened, can we at least admit that that's not the truth?
It can't be, can it?
Not in my mind, but I'm asking you in your mind.
I just said it can't be.
Okay. Is it just too hard for you, Robert, to talk about?
I don't know. I just can't. I don't remember doing anything else with Anne.
Did you know her name before I told it to you?
No.
No? But you remember seeing her on the news back then?
Yes. Yeah.
Robert, I'm looking at 2 other cases from the year that you were there on Fort Ord. Did you pick up other little girls, but they lived?
No.
You touched them, but they lived?
No.
No?
No.
Because I'll tell you straight up, I'm still working on the evidence for those. I'm not saying those are you, but I'm asking you. There were 2 that happened. One little girl, they were both Asian actually. One even described a white male about your build with sergeant stripes that picked her up, right? And then dropped her off. Do you remember that? Are you sure?
Yes,
Because
sir.
I'm still digging on those cases.
Yes,
This case I've been working, Robert, for 2 years. For 2 years now solid, I've been working this case.
There were no other girls.
Well, I'm going to determine that. To me, the truth is very important, especially when we get to this point where we're at right now, you and I. Right? Trying to be totally straight up with you. The truth, that's what I'm hunting for.
Wish I could tell you more, but I can't.
Are there other things in your life that you've blocked out, or you think you have?
I believe so, yes.
Like what?
I don't know. There's periods in my memory that are blank that I can't remember where I was or what I was doing or.
You showed me a good memory. You've got a memory of her. I'm going to tell you right now, you've got a memory. I have the weather records from that day. It was raining on and off that day. So your memory is right there. And that she was in the news and that you saw her. It would have been this photograph, I would almost guarantee you.
Yes.
So your memory is right there. And you remember this was the photo?
Yes.
Your memory is right there. And then you say you dropped her off. We know that's not a fact. She was not dropped off.
Then I must have done the rest of it. I don't know why I don't remember it, but I must have done the rest of it.
I mean, were there urges that you had, Robert, that just overcome you? I mean, I'm told even still by Rookie that you had some child.
Yes, I still had urges.
Even to this day?
No.
But back then you did?
Yes.
And what kind of urges were they?
Sexual.
With young girls?
Yes. I just never acted on them.
Well, that's not quite true, is it?
I guess not.
I mean, some of it I'm just going off of what you described to me. You know? And we all, Robert, try to minimize things in our life, right? That are bad or that are wrong.
You want me to say that I did those things to her? I'll say it if we can end this.
I want you, the talking is up to you, right? You have the right to stop whenever you want to. You know that.
I've already told you I don't remember doing anything to her. But you're telling me you have evidence that I did.
I'm showing you, yes, that's correct.
But I can't admit to something I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you remember dropping her off?
I do.
Or is that something that you might be manufacturing in your mind to protect yourself?
That's possible. I just don't remember doing anything to her. I don't. I can see her in my car. I could see her walking to her door.
But she never did. We know that she never did.
I know. I wish I could help you and tell you that I did it, that I remember it all, but I don't. I mean, I can say it, but I don't remember it.
Okay, well, I want you to say what you remember. I mean, it's just.
I've told you all that I remember.
I hear you, Robert. I'm gonna read you a little something, okay? And because you talked about 1998, right, and what happened there.
Yes.
You wrote something back in 1998 after you were arrested. Okay? You wrote what's called a defendant's statement. If you look at that and see your signature and the date, that was in the Nevada court records. Okay? If I could, let me see it. I'll read it to you. You're talking about your little granddaughter.
I remember it.
You minimized everything that you told me.
The detective reads Robert's own written statement from the 1998 Las Vegas case, where he was convicted of crimes against a minor.
This is your writing. I was horribly stupid and wrong. But were you horribly stupid and wrong here too, Robert?
Yes.
So you see what I'm saying when you're only partially telling the truth, even with what happened in 1998. And it goes on more, right?
Yes.
It goes on more in your writing. That's why I'm questioning what happened with Anne, Robert. That's why I'm questioning that. You've come so close. You've come so close, and we're there now.
I'd like to speak with an attorney.
Okay, that's your right. You certainly may.
Where are you from?
I'm from Monterey County. Been a police officer there for about 32 years now or so. Semi-retired, but I work on a cold case unit with the Monterey County District Attorney's Office. And like I said, I've been working this case for about 2 years, Robert, okay?
I understand. What happens now?
Well, you're going to go back here. I'm going to complete my report, and we'll send it to the District Attorney's Office back in Monterey County, okay?
That case will probably take precedence over me being in prison here.
You know, I don't work out those things. I don't know how those things go. Right, that's not part of my job. Right, like I told you, mine is to find the truth. Okay, can you sit up straight real quick, Robert? Okay. Thank you for your honesty. You know, I've heard it said before that old sins cast long shadows. Let me see if I can find Rookie, okay? Hello.
Hey, Mr. Luna.
Yes.
I'm going to put you back in cuffs. We're going to hang out until the deputies get here, okay? You can have a drink. You good? You can adjust.
I guess I'm going to California.
No comment, man.
Well, you can comment, it don't matter. They say I murdered a little girl. I don't remember
Yeah,
doing
man.
that.
So here's where I stay, man. You invoked. You got your rights, man. I don't wanna do anything that violates your rights, right? You and I talked about it a couple times. We want to protect your rights, man. Yeah, here you go. Let me double lock this when you get a second, and then I can help you out, okay? We're still gonna wait on the deputy, so we're still gonna hang out here. Let me take this. Let me see this hand real fast. I just don't want to hurt you.
He'll be up here in just a minute.
Okay, no worries. All right, Mr. Laniu.
Thank you.
Robert Laniu is charged with multiple crimes, including the kidnapping and murder of Anne Pham. Prosecutors believe Laniu abducted Anne as she walked to kindergarten in January 1982, before strangling and assaulting her on the nearby Fort Ord military base. Laniu thought he had gotten away with the crime for more than 40 years, until Seaside PD investigators identified him through forensic genetic genealogy. In 2025, just days before trial, Laniu enters a no-contest plea to first-degree murder and kidnapping charges. He is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. More than 40 years after she began her journey, investigators finally ensure Anne gets to kindergarten.